you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond Moore
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I'm Jimmy Murphy. Pierre, before we get into what happened over the weekend, both at the World Juniors and the NHL, we do want to pass our condolences along to the family of Al Mcneel. News coming across the wire just now that he has passed away at the age of 89. I don't know your experiences with Al, Pierre, but I'm sure you guys crossed paths over the years.
Oh, a lot. When Dougie Riseborough was running the Calgary Flames, Al was one of his trusted assistants, and I talked to the Flames about a couple different jobs within their organization. And one of the real delightful experiences for me over the course of my career was whether I was interviewing for a job in Calgary or broadcasting a game in Calgary, you always got a chance to sit with Al. And probably my greatest memory of Al as a coach was the 1971 Stanley Cup when the Canadiens beat Chicago in Game 7. And Chicago was an improbable run for that Canadiens team. It was Jean Beliveau's last ever Stanley Cup as a player, and that started in the first round with a miraculous comeback that he helped engineer in Old Boston Garden in 1971. So I have really fond memories of Al Mcneel, a true gentleman, a great hockey man, and somebody that anytime I was around him, I really cherished speaking with him because there was a fountain of information, really, really strong.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we wish his family and all that knew him in hockey the best, and thank you to him for his contributions to the game. Pierre, getting to the World Juniors, we'll get into NHL after. Let's go there. It went as you had picked it to go all the way through. You nailed it, Pierre. And USA is victorious with an overtime victory over Finland. First off, Pierre, I wanted to say I noticed a lot of people were stunned that it's 3-on-3 in overtime at the World Juniors. That took a lot of people by surprise. I don't know if they forgot or they just unaware, but that was a big controversy on social media. This is stupid, takes away from it, blah, blah, blah. Hey, it is what it is. And USA won it with the way it is. They don't write the rules. It's not their problem. They're there to play and win. So I thought it was a little unfair. People were trying to say, well, that wouldn't happen if it wasn't 3-on-3. Finland would have had a better chance. Whatever. It happened. They won. And Pierre, I think we can agree that USA from start to finish was the best team there, but also a team that you warned us about almost pulls it off and almost beats off the Goliath in USA, and that's Finland. Credit to them for a real great tournament, and I love their style of hockey, Pierre. I think it's catered to the NHL.
I'm so happy you said that, Jimmy, because, we got to celebrate the Americans back-to-back. It's hard to win one World Junior. They did it back-to-back with the same coaching staff led by David Carl from Denver University and all his support staff, fantastic. All the same guys back. A little bit of a different team, obviously, from what won last year over in Sweden. But I have so much respect for the Finns. Jimmy, you've known me a long time. I've had so many great opportunities to travel there and scout there. And, I interviewed for a head coaching job there many moons ago, back in 1995, 96. And I thought it was a tremendous opportunity. And had it would have been a different time in my career, I would have gone. I'm a big fan of the country. I'm a big fan of the people there. I'm a huge fan of the way they cultivate players and develop them. I think if you're a hockey person, you owe it to yourself to go there and watch how they train their youth players, watch how they train their middle-aged players, and watch how they train their pros. It's a really cool experience. They're one of the only countries in the world that's got the hybrid rink. It's 200 by 93 to 90 feet. We're 200 by 85. That extra room allows for more creativity, but it doesn't take the hitting out of the game. Right. And that's why the Finns can come here and play on the smaller surface and look very comfortable. So I'm very happy for them. A silver medal is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, look at the size of their country. Population-wise, it's crazy. It's the size of the province of Quebec. For them to be able to play at that level is amazing, and I'm really happy for them. But for the Americans, Hagen's had a breakout tournament. Now, is it going to be Schaefer going first overall? Is it going to be Hagens? That's going to be the question. I think a lot of people are going to have to watch the second half of the year. Leonard's too good right now. He should be in the NHL, but I get it. No, I get it. Like everybody We had him on our show, and he was fantastic. And but he's you can just see when he wants to take it up. See you later, alligator. He's way better. Burrow should be with the New York Rangers. It's going to make it whomever's his coach, and I think it'll be Peter Laviolette. Whomever it is, they become a better coach. They become a better coach because he makes every player around him better. He makes the defense better. He makes the other forwards better. He's just a brilliant, brilliant player. That was a heck of a draft pick by the New York Rangers amateur scouts. They deserve a lot of credit. And on defense, I showed him to you last year in the NCAA tournament. Zev Boyum,
what a pass.
Like that pass that he made to Teddy Stiga last night, that's not a little bit good. Like, think about that time of the game, the nerves, the amount of time he's played. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. So I just thought it was appropriate. There were some guys that had better tournaments than others. The sleeper guy for USA was Danny Nelson. You and I both saw him with Notre Dame over in Ireland. Yep. We both talked about it. You actually brought it up to me before I did. You talked about his face-off play and how good he was in his own zone. He's going to be a real good player for the New York Islanders. He's going to be a very good player. I think the Islanders also have a good player in Cole Yzerman. I really do. He didn't get as much ice time. But what does he do? He scores goals.
Yeah.
He's a younger – and I'm not saying that he's this player. Please don't misunderstand me. The player I'm about to talk about has won a Hart Trophy, in Corey Perry. He's won a Memorial Cup. He's won the Stanley Cup. He's won Olympic gold. Yzerman's done none of those things. But I can tell you, I watched Corey Perry. Like, Corey Perry is the last player to make the 2005 World Junior team. I was there. And it was a phone call from Wayne Gretzky that got him on the team. Because Gretzky pumped him up. I was right there when he spoke to him. I told you that story.
Yep.
Cole Yzerman, there's so many similarities because they both aren't really super fleet of foot. They both love to shoot the puck. They both are they're little. They play on the edge. Corey Perry plays on the edge. Yzerman plays on the edge. They're passionate players. I think the Islanders got two guys that not a lot of people are talking about because most people are focusing on the BC guys, and they should. Those guys are good. And Boyum was so good.
Oh, yeah. Through the test of time, sometimes it seems like you get a player like that who has just got one skill that he's really good at, and usually it tends to be scoring, right? But yet people somehow got to look around and say, oh, well, he doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. Well, I don't care. If he can score and he's a pure scorer, work with him to get the other things into his game and take advantage of what he can do and what he's special at. And we've seen so many players kind of get typecasted or criticized. I think of Phil Kessel's probably the biggest example, right? Everybody would say, oh, he's lazy. He doesn't play a defensive game. Maybe, but he'll score. He'll change a game in an instant like that and change the momentum of a game. So, Yzerman's got that capability. And I think if the Islanders are willing to work with him and understand that, not try to make him something he's not, but accept what he is, they're going to be really in good shape going forward.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a very good way to look at it. If you're going to make the National Hockey League, you got to do one thing exceptionally well. Right. One thing. And if you can do three things exceptionally well, you are Sidney Crosby, you are Alexander Ovechkin, you are Nicky Backstrom, you are Guy Lafleur, so you got to do one thing exceptionally well to make it, like really beyond the pale. I think Yzerman shoots the puck as well as any young player. Like last year, Celebrini played that position on the BU power play. And I kept telling you, like, this guy's a home run. Like, you can't miss on Celebrini. And it's not just – so Celebrini could shoot. Celebrini could take faceoffs. Celebrini could make passes. Celebrini could skate. Celebrini could play physical. And Celebrini, more than anything else, didn't cheat the game. He was full. So you knew he was a lead pipe cinch to make it. And I used to tell you all the time, he's Jonathan Taves with a little more offense. That's what Macklin is. And we're seeing that now. That's what he's becoming.
That's great.
Well, that's okay. That's good. But I see Cole Yzerman in that Celebrini position on the BU power play. Now, I know it's not Lane Hudson passing the puck, which it was last year, but it's Cole Hudson.
It's Cole.
And Cole's pretty good too,
Yeah,
Cole's
he's pretty good
too. and so, I mean, he's having a heck of a freshman year. Talking about talking about Yzerman. He's having a heck of a freshman year. Really good.
And you know what else too? I mean, think about the fact, and I see some bad timing for saying that as somebody in our chat room just said something not too nice about Lou Lamoriello. But hey, right now, Lou Lamoriello, in terms of Cole Yzerman, has probably got the best advocate working with him at BU. He's tight with Jay Pandolfo. Jay knows what Lou like. Jay can give him good report cards and really give him good insight as to what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong. So it's a good relationship they have there as they both try to grow the game of Cole Yzerman.
And that's a great point. The other part of it is, too, don't forget Jacques Lemaire is a top lieutenant for Lou Lamoriello. So if there's anything that needs to be sorted out away from the goal scoring part, Jacques really good at that. And, you know, Jay played for Jacques. He knows. So, no, that's a great point by you about, you know, him having the opportunity to have played for Lou in Jersey, obviously, and for Jacques in Jersey. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
For sure. Pierre, before we move on from, two things about the World Juniors. One question, were there any players to you that maybe you were looking for to take it to the next level and surprise some people at the tournament that were able to do that?
There were. I don't want to pound on any young players.
Okay.
I don't want to, especially Canadian kids. And I'll tell you why. This was a fouled up World Junior for them. I said it to you. I told you after the Latvia game, both on the air and off the air, after the Matthew Schaefer injury, I don't know what the players are saying because I don't read the press stuff. But what I can tell you is whatever they did internally with that, with the players, there was a disconnect. And I don't know, and I haven't read it anywhere because I don't read it. You're my social media guy. And I told you, Jimmy, something happened. And I saw, and Dave Cameron's an honorable person, and he's a hard coach, and he's done an amazing job in the Ontario Hockey League with the 67s in particular, not just St. Mike's, but with Ottawa 67s. He's done a really good job. But Jimmy, something happened in that game. That team was never the same. After that injury, that team was never, ever, ever close to being the same.
No. And that was kind of a common thread going forward, Pierre. As I said before, it's a great catch by you, is that the one thing I noticed about Canada that you saw so many years before that they were great at was responding to in-game adversity and adapting and bouncing back. Yeah. And it looks like anytime something didn't go their way, their body language was not good. And they hung their heads and they went to the bench, and there was something missing within that. It wasn't necessarily all skill. Yeah, you can argue this guy should have been there, this guy should have been there, but there was something mentally and within their environment on their bench and in their, I wasn't in the dressing room, but I'm sure it carries into the dressing room, that I thought was missing. And that was because Canada's always been great at that. They've always been like, okay, yeah, we'll take our shots and we'll bounce back. I didn't see that in this tournament.
I agree. I agree. I was, I like I said to you before, for 9 straight years, I broadcast the event, and for 9 straight years, Canada was in the gold medal game. And 5 of those 9 times they won. 5 in a row, by the way. That was amazing. And I told you part of why they did it is they went outside the family. No politics when it came to picking a coach. We want a hard guy for the 05 team. We're bringing in Brent Sutter. We don't think we can win in 06, but we want to have Brent Sutter. They won in 06. We want Brent to train a guy up. They bring Craig Hartsburg. Hartsburg does a phenomenal job. Craig did an amazing job in Lexington Suite. I'm telling you, he was unbelievable. And then in Pardubice, they had to win in overtime against the Swedes. And that was a freaking really good Swedish team. I'm just telling you. And so, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, well, what are they going to do for the next trick in 09 when it's back in Canada? And they hired Pat Quinn, the late Pat Quinn.
Yeah.
Okay, they went outside the family and everything. Pat's claim to fame was 02 Olympics, obviously, and coaching in Philadelphia and coaching in Vancouver. And he did great things. And even in Toronto, he did great things, but didn't win the cup. He was close in Philly, but never won. Was close in Vancouver, never won. Got a little bit close in Toronto, but never won. But he won in 02. That 02 Olympic team, Pat was the boss, and he did a heck of a job. And then 06 was a disaster. 06 in Torino was a disaster for Canada. It was unbelievable how bad it was. And then Hockey Canada says, you know what? This is a big pressure moment. We just can't throw any kid in there. We better bring somebody in that can do it. Mm-hmm. And Bob Nicholson said, you know what? Here you go. Pat, take it. And Pat took it and ran with it.
Yep.
He was amazing at it, the late Pat Quinn. They got to get – I'm not being an apologist for Hockey Canada, but I'm going to tell you right now, get the politics out of hockey, get hockey back into hockey, get hockey people making decisions, and go. Stop with politics. Stop it.
I don't have –
Last year, Bradley Nadeau should have been on Team Canada, but because he played at the University of Maine, they didn't put him on a team.
Yeah.
They can say, oh, but we had Celebrini. If you didn't have Celebrini, do you know what would have happened to you?
He wouldn't have won. Yeah, Pierre, look, I agree with everything you said. I think the one good thing is, I'm sure you saw it, is after Cameron's initial response when they lost, which, a lot of people took as a bit arrogant, where he said he had no regrets and it is what it is. And they came back with a whole different presentation, whether it was the one you sent to me today, Henderson, the head of Hockey Canada, and Salmon. Everybody is preaching now, saying we need to really reevaluate things. We need to be open to different ideas. So maybe, just maybe, they're heeding your advice, and we'll see what they do going forward.
I just have one more piece of advice, because I've known Scotty Salmon a long time, and I respect him a lot, and he's done a lot of good things at Hockey Canada. So this has nothing to do with Scotty. But if you're going to bring people to a podium and they're in charge of Hockey Canada, they better not be bringing notes and reading off a songbook. You better know your subject matter. There were parts of that I was not impressed by.
Yep. Good point. Good point. That does not show sincerity or knowledge of the product. That's a great point by you. All right, let's move on to the pros, Pierre. And look, I know and we'll get to the Montreal Canadiens. Don't you worry to half our listener and viewership. We'll get there. Don't worry. But we're going to talk about it.
Before you get going, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
One of my favorite people in the world, probably my favorite person outside of my family, is Scotty Bowman. And I know more times than not he watches this show. And I just want him to know the Canadiens are back and they're for real. That's all I want him to know. And that's a little inside baseball, but he knows what I'm talking about.
All right. And we say hello to Scotty. Happy New Year to you and your family. A team that the Canadiens fans do not like that much, the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, continue to roll, Pierre. They get Matthews back this past weekend. He looked good. He wasn't amazing, but he looked great for what he's been through. But the guy that really, and this is a guy that you've been telling us about for a long time, that stole the show with Matthew Knees. And he was just a beast, Pierre, especially in that Bruins game, the way he took that game over in the second period.
Yes, he was. And good for you for acknowledging Matthew Knies as a player that when he plays like a bull in a china shop, Jimmy, he's just lethal. And so when he's playing with Marner and Matthews, it's obviously a tough thing to shut down. And we've talked about this before. The size of the left wingers in Toronto. Matthew Knies is a tight end in the NFL size. Max Pacioretty, tight end size player. Bobby McMahon, tight end in the NFL size. And then, you go Steven Lorentz. Their four left wingers are just so big and fast and strong and mean, it's going to be a problem. Look what happened. I forget the defenseman for Philadelphia that Pacioretty got yesterday in the trolley tracks. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh, yeah.
It was barbaric. It was a beautiful hit, but, it was vicious. Bobby McMahon is not a softie. Steven Lorentz like to get after people. And watch Knies. All the goals are from about 6 to 8 feet from the net. He's just pile driving guys. Whack and hack time. No, Toronto's going to be good. If Matthew stays healthy, I could be off on this, but I don't think I am. And I mean no disrespect meant to the other teams in the East. If Matthew stays healthy and their defense stays healthy and they get Stolarz back, they're the best team in the East. They're the best. I agree. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but they're the best team in the East.
Well, I think what you started off saying there too, Pierre, what he brings to that line with Marner and Matthews and Matthew Knies, like the Bruins players after the game are like we couldn't figure it out. We couldn't figure out how to stop that line. And they game plan for Marner and Matthews, and they played these guys a zillion times, but then you add in the Knies dynamic and all the different elements he throws at you there. it distracts you from what your game plan probably was for that line. Like, you got to adapt on the fly, and they just couldn't do it. They were caught flat-footed, and they admitted it after the game. And, that was the difference. That line was the difference, hands down.
Let me ask you one question, because I know how close you are to the Bruins guys, and nobody breaks more Bruins stuff than you. So let me ask you a question. Has Pastrnak played a better game this year than what he played Saturday night?
Nope. He was amazing. That was his best game.
I thought he was off the charts good. I mean it. Like, I thought.
And you know what? He was good against the Islanders the next night too, Pierre.
So
Not as good, but he was good.
I watched only the highlights. Didn't watch the game because I was watching other games and a lot of World Junior stuff, and obviously had to do some Toronto stuff, and so I didn't see the game. I just saw the highlights. But Jimmy, when you're Boston and you have and he was their best player, and you don't win a game like that in Toronto, you got to be thinking our roster's not good enough. Yeah, roster. Where they lost 4 in a row now, Jimmy? They lost 4 in a row.
4 in a row. And it's showing now what we've been trying to say. It was not the coach. It's the roster.
No.
It is what it is.
No. Please stop with that. Montgomery's a really good coach. Sacco, it doesn't mean Joe Sacco's not a good coach.
Right.
But the roster's not good enough.
Right. And you know what,
Pierre, you don't have Hampus Lindholm. If you don't have Hampus Lindholm, Jimmy, your defense isn't good enough.
No. And, hopefully he's going to start skating this week. I had heard a rumor he might get on the ice today. I don't know if that happened. But one thing, Pierre, and I'll tell our listeners when we were having our prep talk today, look, we're not going to get into names of players right now. We're not going to create speculation that way, but it's just to kind of echo what Pierre is saying about the roster here. As I said, Pierre, I've been hearing them linked to the Vancouver Canucks and everything that's going on there. And I'm wondering, when you look at that roster, what do they have to get a deal like that done besides Pastrnak or besides McAvoy? I mean, how would, if you're Don Sweeney, can you go out and acquire an Elias Pettersson, a player that caliber, without creating a massive hole somewhere else in your lineup? And we both agree the answer is no. You may be able to go out and get him, but now you're going to have another hole to fill. So it's like they're not in a position where they can bring him in to complement or to just be the final piece. It's going to create a hole somewhere else, and that's the crossroads they're at right now.
So well said. I totally agree with you, Jimmy. I'm just asking the question. I want you to be the voice and the boots in the ground for the Bruins. Mm-hmm. Is Merkelov going to be good enough to step in a top 6 role?
No.
Fabian Lysell?
Middle 6.
Okay, middle 6.
Yeah.
So those are Riley Duran?
No.
John Farinacci?
No.
Poitras?
Yes.
Okay. There's one name.
There's one. And then on D, I mean, Lowry's their best prospect to me on D. And
I don't know how you can trade him. I mean,
yeah, you're losing. That's what I'm talking about. You're creating a hole there. And the other thing right now is he's actually had a tough time this year.
So I saw two Bruins. I saw 2 Bruins prospects for Rand Pecknold's Quinnipiac team play. Pelosi and Gronwald. They're both good. They're both big kids. They're both good prospects. But they're down the road. They're not next year and out. Do you know what I'm saying? They got development time still. So are they prospects? Yes, they are prospects, and they're good prospects. And if they play for Rand, they'll just keep getting better, which is good. It's part of this is for Quinnipiac fans, because I know we had a lot of them that watch and listen. I was at their building. It was sold out on Saturday afternoon.
I heard it's a great place to watch a game, Pierre.
It was awesome. It was and the fans are electrifying. They're great. And it was a Star Wars kind of a production. It was really good. But the reality is Quinnipiac lost a ton of guys to pro hockey from last year's team. And they lost more guys from the year before when they won the national championship. Like, you just can't flip it like that. It's too hard.
No.
And so that's what I'm saying. Some of those guys they have there, there's more development time.
Yeah.
That the Bruins own.
Exactly. So I don't know if they're in a position to do that, to be in the mix for big names like that right now.
Yeah. I don't know either. Yeah,
we'll see. Pierre, all right, let's get to the Montreal Canadiens, who look, there's nothing I can say bad about them right now. I'm sorry. Like they went into Chicago. They had a stinker there. I don't know. I felt like that one.
Well, they didn't even stink. They didn't stink.
They didn't even stink. You're right. Right.
The goalie for Chicago was good. I think the coach in Chicago is doing a really good job. I do. I think he's doing a good job. I don't think the roster's any good, and I think the GM should button up.
Yep.
Stop it. If you're the GM, just go get players. You're not. You don't try to coach the team or intimidate the players. What was that shenanigans after the outdoor game? What was he trying to do there?
I'm biting my tongue on that, Pierre. Whatever I say in that situation can only lead to bad things. I didn't like it. I'll put it that
way. Chicago's an amazing hockey market. It's the most. I think it's the most amazing American hockey market. I was there for the most. I've coached the Stanley Cup final game there. 2 of them actually, games 3 and 4 of the '92 final. In the old stadium, which was great, Jimmy. I feel so bad you never had a chance to be in that place. It was amazing. The floor shook. It was the anthem, the presentation, the players. It was just an amazing. The fans, Chicago, awesome. Did the 2010, 2013, 2015 Stanley Cup final there. I don't even know how many playoff games they did in Chicago, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And they're nowhere near where those guys were. Like when Dale Talon and Stan Bowman were building the Chicago Blackhawks, they're not anywhere close to where those guys were when they turned Duncan Keith pro and Brent Seabrook pro and Kane pro and Taves pro and Corey Crawford pro. They're not even close, Jimmy. Like, don't pretend that you are.
Yeah, I agree. But one thing I would say back to that game, Pierre, I don't know. It just was one of those games sometimes you might look at and say, hey, if this is a loss, it's a loss considering how well we're playing right now. And remember, too, Pierre, Chicago's coming off that embarrassing loss in the Winter Classic. Yeah. It's a gut check. It's a gut check game for them. They're being challenged by their leaders. So you knew they were going to come out firing. So they lose that. Fine. Let's go ahead to Colorado. And I'm watching that Colorado game, and I texted and I said, oh, maybe they're coming back down to earth a bit here, meaning the Canadiens. And then, boom. God bless them. They made me eat some crow there. I had mustard ready and everything. It was that was some good crow I ate. I'll tell you that. Look, what a great gut check win again by them. I love the enthusiasm right now. What can you say about Cole Caulfield and the way he's playing right now up here? I mean, he's on another level.
He is. The puck's finding him. He's on another level. I think the fact that, obviously Laine's in and out because of whatever he's got ailing him. But having that support helps a lot. Suzuki's really good. A lot of this is how good Suzuki is. A lot of it's how good Lane Hudson is, moving the puck. Matheson's, I think Mike's played really well. Mike had 8 shots on goal in that game in Chicago that they lost. For a defenseman, that's amazing.
Yep.
Mike's playing a lot better since he went with Lane. He is. I know Gooley and Carrier struggled big time in Chicago, but they were a ton better on Colorado. Ton better. If you were to ask me what's the one thing for Canadians, they need more offense. Kirby gave them some on that road trip. They need more consistency from Kirby, but Kirby's starting to come now. Kirby Doc.
Yes,
he's starting to come, which is good, which is really good news for them.
Yeah,
really good.
He's got his confidence there, and the goaltending's been great.
Yep.
I mean, Dobie's, we said, okay, that was his first start. Let's see how he does in his second start. He's good again. So good for him too. And you know what I like too, Pierre, a lot of people are criticizing it, but I kind of liked how they started him against 2 really good teams. Instead of giving him
criticize that. Why would they do that?
Like, well, were you trying to put him in a position to fail? I'm like, well, he already proved one time he's not going to fail. So why not do it again?
So this is my only, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. He gets paid just like the other guy. Like, they get paid. Those guys want to play. That's why they're pro athletes. They want to play against the best guys.
Right.
They take it as a personal affront if they're not playing against the best guy. I can tell you, you go talk to any Division I college hockey player, and if their coach doesn't have it on at the end of the game, pro or con, they're pissed.
Yeah.
Go talk to any NHL player. If your coach doesn't trust you enough to have you on at a key time in the game, that player's pissed.
Yep.
He doesn't say, oh, my God, he's throwing me out there. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Trust me, they're not doing that. Dobish is like, bring it on. You know that thing they do in football where the guy goes, feed me? Yeah. That's what he's doing. He's like, feed me.
Yeah. Love it. It's great for his confidence too. And even if he loses one of those games or even both, if he plays well and he knows he can stay there, stay in between those pipes and challenge some of the best teams.
How do you think that flight home from Colorado was?
Oh, I think it was very nice. There's a Rocky Mountain High.
I'll
put it that way.
So now here's the cautionary part of the tale, because my partner and I talked a lot today about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Vancouver's coming in to start a road trip, and they go to Washington right after this, and then they go into Toronto. Not easy. They're not looking past Montreal. You know why? They're looking at the standings in the West, especially in the Pacific. And when you see what's going on in the Pacific with Vegas, with LA, and with Edmonton, those three teams in their last 10, Vegas is 8-2, LA is 6-2-2, and Edmonton 7-2-1. You don't think Vancouver's paying attention to that?
Yeah. Yep. And the team they're chasing for the first wild card spot there right now, Colorado, they're going to get going. I mean, they're 7-2-1 their last 10.
My point is just in the Pacific. I'm just talking about in the Pacific. So they're like, holy mackerel, we better get going here. So they're coming loaded for bear. And for Montreal, this is a tough regroup. This is a tough one. This is 2 games in Florida. You fly out, you fly up to Colorado. No, where'd you go? Vegas. You go to Vegas. Then you come back to Chicago. Then you go to Colorado. Then you come. Like, this is hard. This is almost an impossible ask to beat Vancouver tonight. Now, they might. They might.
We don't script this, but we're good at segues, my friend. That's going to take us right into my Betway pick of the day. It has to do with that game. Before I tell you about that, I do want to tell you about a few events that we want. Hopefully, if you're able, you're in the areas to come down and say hello. Starting on February 3rd, Pierre and I will be at the first round of the Bean Pot at West End Johnny's down at 138 Portland Street, across from TD Garden in Boston. We'll also be there for the championship round the following Monday on the 10th. That's West End Johnny's, 138 Portland Street. We're also going to be there later in the month to close the month off for the semis and the finals of the Four Nations Face-Off. But in between that, we will be up in Montreal, close to where Pierre is now. And we'll be going to McLean's Public House at 1420 Peel Street. That's Upper Peel, not the McLean's on Lower. The one's on Upper. It's the brand new one that they have. So you can find us there doing a pregame 6 to 7 p.m. before every game for the Four Nations Face-Off. Now back to what I was saying about that wonderful segue by Pierre. Let's get into Betway. Go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in a detailed section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Your offer is available only for new customers right now, and terms and conditions apply. It's not available in Ontario. You must be 18 plus, and you always must play responsibly. I will go right to that Montreal-Vancouver game, and Pierre was right in the money. It's always tough when you get back from a road trip. That first period's tough. You got to get back in the groove of being at home and all that, and just it's a tough go when you get back there on the ice for the first period of your first home game back after you just switched 3 time zones in the last week. So that's why I got 2 bets on this game, Pierre. I'm going to go with the Vancouver Canucks money line minus 140 in the first period. I think they come out of the first period with a lead. However, based on the way the Canadiens are playing and based on the way the Canucks have played as of late, I don't think that leads too safe these days with the Vancouver Canucks. That's why I'll tell you to watch the game live, get a sense of where it's at. And if you want on Betway, you can do what's called live betting, and you can go in there. And if they're down 1-0, 2-0 in the first intermission, headed to second period, you're going to get some great value if you bet the Canadiens on the money line to win the game. So take the Canucks in the first period, then take the Canadiens to come back and win the whole game. That's my tip for you on the sick bet of the day. All right, let's get to the questions. What do we got in the Q&A? Ron LaRoque. Hopefully this hasn't been previously discussed. No, I'm glad you brought it up, Ron. I know you messaged me about it. Thank you for remembering. Regarding the Ducks and Frank Vatrano's contract, congratulations to him. 3 years, $18 million. With deferred money, does this arrangement benefit the team, the player, or both? And will more teams be doing it?
Teams used to do that a lot when I was first starting out. There's a lot of deferred money. I know Ronnie Francis had a lot of deferred money. Mario had a lot of deferred money. So I think it's just what the buyer wants, the player. I don't know how it really affects the cap because it's still an AAV. So I'd have to talk to a capologist about that, but I think it's just what the player wants, more than anything else. And whether it benefits a team or not, I don't know.
Yeah, and by the way, I had a friend of mine, I respect his opinion a ton, but I felt he was dead wrong on this. He says, why the hell would he extend with Anaheim? What is he thinking? They're going nowhere. And I'm like, apparently you don't watch the Ducks much, and you haven't looked at their prospect pool, my friend. I think Frank Vetrano sees that the future's bright there. He's in sunny California. He's comfortable, and he feels like there's a fit there. And we talk about this with Evans. We talked about this with other players. How the fit does matter. Sometimes you're going to go and you're going to realize the grass isn't always greener in another team. So I like it. I like it for the team and the player.
So I'll just throw out 3 names. Leo Carlsson is going to be a dominant two-way center. Mason McTavish is already really starting to come as a player. Cutter Gauthier, I expected more from him, but he's starting to heat up now. I think you would agree. Troy Terry's still really young. He's still an elite offensive player. So and Killorn's a really good leader. I don't know why you wouldn't be interested in staying in Anaheim. I really don't.
I like it. I thought it was a good move for all involved. All right, next question. Jason Logan, I was watching a game and the play went on for a while and the goal was called back. How long does the play have to go on until the goal can't be called back? I guess till the stop and play, if it makes sense.
As far back as you want.
Yeah.
So there's a whistle.
And it's an issue.
Yeah.
It's staying that way for now. All right, next question. Alex Evanowski, if the Sabres continue to lose and are looking to trade Byram, do you think Columbus should be interested in trading for him? I feel like it makes sense for both teams. Columbus needs some young D prospects. I don't see why the Sabres would be so quick to trade him already. I don't know. Maybe you heard something, Alex. I haven't seen anything about that. I think he's not a guy I would look at that they might be moving.
I didn't know Buffalo was so strong with defense prospects that they could afford to trade anybody. I don't know. I don't know. Would he fit him in Colorado or Columbus? Yeah, he would. Yeah, he'd fit really well. How's that Werenski guy doing?
Oh, wow. Columbus has got some guys coming too, man.
Did you listen to me? I know you like to peruse with the betting stuff. Did you listen when I told you about it?
Yep, I did. Yep. There we go. Good call. Next question. Ron LaRoque, was there really a leader on Team Canada?
There should have been, starting with the coach. Because it's a big job for a 19-year-old kid, especially on home soil, to be the leader. Not everybody's Jonathan Taves. Not everybody's Sidney Crosby. Not everybody's Patrice Bergeron. It's a hard thing to do when you're playing at home. So it starts with the coach. I think there was more than enough leadership. I don't know where the discipline went. I don't know what happened there. They'll have to do a debrief, I'm sure, internally. But if you were to say, what's the one thing that haunted, and forget the offense. They had more than enough chances to score. There were more than enough good offensive players. Where did the discipline go? Like, what were guys doing, running around, trying to murder people?
Yeah.
Senseless.
Yep. And
Nobody likes. I like tough hockey as much as anybody, but taking penalties is silly. It's not smart business.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Randy Workman, what do you think of the goalie? I think his name is Carter George.
Good. LA Kings second round pick. Thought he played well. I didn't like the short side goal on the power play, that got them knocked out. That was the game winning goal. But I thought he had a good tournament. I don't think it's on him. I thought he had a very good tournament. I think he's got a chance. I wish he was a little taller. I'm watching Dennis Hildeby last night, Jimmy, and he's 6'7", and he just takes up so much net. Carter George, and he's not 6'7", he doesn't take up that kind of net. So that's the only thing. But I thought he had a good tournament, and he's got a chance to play. He's got an opportunity to play. He reminded me a little bit of Jonathan Bernier, who was an LA Kings draft pick. He reminded me a little bit of Jonathan.
Remember Jonathan. All right, next question. Alex Evanowski, what have you seen from Detroit since the coaching change? Any big changes tactics-wise?
Yeah, defensively, they're a lot better. It's what we said would happen. They're a lot better defensively. They'll just keep getting better. Now, I don't know if it lasts forever, but it's lasted now. And, Todd's done a good job. They've won 4 in a row. He and Trent Yanni have come in, and they've definitely implemented standards that I think the players are buying into. Look, I'm not going to take a pot shot at the coach that was there before. He definitely merited an opportunity to be a head coach in the league. I just didn't think the fit was good with that group. Doesn't mean he can't coach in the league, because I think he can. Just didn't think the fit was good with that group.
I agree. All right, next question. Randy Workman, did you see Domi's elbow in the Isle game? Did you think it was a penalty?
Yeah, it's a penalty, and he's getting fined for it too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, next question. A to Z me. How good does Suzuki look? Just came off playing versus the best on the road, and he held his own against them all. Wow.
That's what we were just talking about. Cole Caulfield's ripping it up, but a big reason why is because Nick's playing so well. Nick's playing great hockey.
Yeah.
He wants to be a difference maker. It's not always about goals and assists. Nick's playing really good hockey. Really good.
All right, next question. Brett Favre. Pierre, what do you think of Hockey Canada ignoring NCAA players for the World Juniors? And is it a case of players having to adapt to Cameron's style versus Cameron coaching to a player's strengths?
Wow. I said it last year. There was no way that they should have kept Bradley Nadeau off that team. They did. This year they chose not to have Matthew Woods on the team. That's their choice, a first-round pick. There were a lot of other guys too, but Matthew was a college player playing at the University of Wisconsin or Minnesota right now after transferring from UConn. I don't think it's appropriate. That's why I say get the politics out of it. Now there's no reason to have politics, because major junior players are going to be going to play college hockey, and guys that are playing in the USHL or the BCHL or prep school, they're going to be going to play major junior, and then they're going to go to play college. So that's just the way it's going to be. So get the politics out of it when it comes to picking coaching staffs, picking management people, or picking players. Just get it done. And for whatever reason, Hockey Canada has become a political machine. That's what it's become.
Yep.
They got to get hockey back into Hockey Canada.
All right. I like it. That should be the slogan on the shirt. All right. Next question. Sound the siren. Pierre, you talked about the politics for Canada. Is it possible the rest of the world, so to speak, are catching up?
They always were. Sound the siren. Let me just throw this at you. I don't need my notes in front of me. From 1998 until 2004, Canada didn't win a gold medal. In fact, they only won medals in 2002, 2003, 2004, and they were all silvers. So the rest of the world's been catching up for a while. The reason why the Swedes are so good is because they stopped teaching these stupid systems and started teaching skills. They had a lost generation from the time Naslund and Forsberg were drafted in 91 until the Sedins were drafted in 99. I defy anybody to go look at the draft list and see how many Swedish players played in the NHL from 1992 to 1998. You'll be mortified. None. And then and nobody talks about that. So the rest of the world, since 99, the Finns have always been there. And you know who was one of the first guys to go after Finns? Scotty Bowman.
Yep.
Scotty Bowman did amazing work in Finland. He always believed that the Finns were really good players. He always believed Czechs were really good players. Slovaks were really he didn't care where a guy came from. He didn't play politics. He wanted the best players. Like, people forget when he was in Montreal. Okay, I'll just use this as an example. There were Rod Lang. Like, go look at all the guys. Rod Langway was an American. Like, go look at all the guys that they had that were American-born players that were drafted by Ronnie Caron or by Irving Grunman and his coaching or his scouting staff, or by the late Sam Pollock. Go look at all.
Yep.
Like, they didn't care where guys came from. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, agreed.
We talk about, we're this enlightened universe of we want everybody to be treated equally. Do it in hockey then.
Yeah, I agree, Pierre. And it's been a lot of countries coming for a while in terms of hockey. People are so surprised right now about USA. What do you mean? I mean, it's been building for a while.
The Swiss have been. I've done Olympic Games where I've seen Switzerland beat Canada.
Yep.
This should not be a revelation to people.
No.
I was in Pyeongchang in 2018. The Germans should have beat the Russians. Now, I know it was not a best on best, but for amateur players or lower level pros, it was. The Germans should have beat the Russians. If it hadn't been for one icing and Kaprizov playing for the Russians, the Germans would have won the gold medal.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I remember that game well.
And I don't think people realize how good the Finns and the Swedes have been for so long.
Oh, my God. Very good.
How's Victor Hedman? Is he any good?
Yeah, he's good. I think Red Wings game. Yeah.
Is he any good?
How's all the Red Wings
all
teams?
These guys.
Yeah. All those Red Wings teams that won those cups.
Nick Lidstrom, was he any good? Kronwall, was he any good?
Kronwall, Holmstrom.
Zetterberg, was he any good? Holmstrom, was he any good? I don't know why this is a foreign concept to people. I mean, no disrespect to Sound the Siren because he's an amazing hockey guy.
Oh, yeah, he knows it.
The rest of the world's been catching up for a long time.
Yeah. It's weird. All right, next question. Dave Dunks. This was the third World Junior Russia has missed with no end in sight. Setting aside the politics of them not being there, what do you think impact will be on young Russian players making the NHL?
It won't have any impact on that. What a good point, though, Jimmy.
Yeah.
That's what I told you, right? If the Russians aren't invited to an event, they got to be an asterisk by it.
It's not best on best.
It's not best on best. And this is nothing about politics. My grandfather on my mother's side is Ukraine. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This has nothing to do with politics.
Yep.
Zero.
We're just talking hockey.
Hockey. We're just talking hockey.
Yep. Imagine those junior teams last year. Could they have had Mishkov and Demidov on the same team, Pierre?
Demidov might have been a little young, but Mishkov.
Yep. Geez, or Demidov this year if he was here.
They would have had Levshunov.
Yep. They would have had a stacked team. All right, next question. Marco, according to Rene Lavoie, the Habs are going to sign Jake Evans. Is it a concern that we might only have right-handed centers for the future? Nick, Kirby, Jake, Beck, Kapanen.
Great. First of all, Marco, Reno is really good at that stuff. I'm a big fan. I've known Reno a long time. He works his tail off. He's got impeccable sources. He would not put that out there if it wasn't true, according to his sources, and I believe that. So if that's true, and I believe it to be, it's what I've been telling Jimmy I thought would happen for a while. I think they'll go less on the money side, more on the term side, and be longer term, lower dollars. Mm-hmm. But about the righty-lefty stuff, it can be an issue. It definitely can be an issue. So that's a fine-tuning element they're going to have to figure out internally. They can do that, but they're going to have to. They're going to have to look at that. They're going to have to look at that. It's a great point by Marco. Really good point.
It is. Sure. By the way, Renault also reporting earlier today that Arthur Kaliev, who was just waived by the Kings, was picked up by the Rangers. Pierre, I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but yeah. So Kaliev can shoot the puck as hard as any. He can shoot the puck. There must be a disconnect because remember we talked about you got to do one thing super elite. He can shoot it super elite. There's got to be something else that's not checking the box. Yeah. So it's a great opportunity for him to go to New York because he's going to play. He wasn't going to play in LA. He's going to play there. So we'll see. And you know who's done a good job in LA? Turcotte. A lot of people thought he'd never make it. Turcotte's playing really well. And I think probably if you're Kaliev, you look around and you probably say, how did I lose my job? Well, Turcotte probably beat you out.
Yep. Yeah. They just reached a point it wasn't going to work there. So hopefully he gets it going in New York. All right, next question. Chris L. Question for Pierre. Would Bruce Boudreau make a good coach for Team Canada? His son, Ben Boudreau, is coaching the OHL Niagara Ice Dogs. Cheers.
He'd be somebody you would definitely want to consider. It's the Pat Quinn effect. I would have no problem with that at all. Bruce is passionate. He studies. He's still very much involved. He was owning teams. I know his son was involved in the ownership of those teams. So no, I don't see why that would be a problem. But to be fair, I think Hockey Canada needs to flip the script like they did after 2004. And Bob Nicholson said, no more messing around. We're going to get the best guy for the team that we're going to have. And they got that guy in Brent Sutter. And I don't think, I always say this all the time about Craig Patrick and Scotty Bowman and Bob Johnson. how they changed the entire culture of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And if you're a Penguins fan, you have what you have today because of those three guys. I'm telling you right now that it totally flipped the script. And if you're a fan of Hockey Canada and the World Junior, I'm telling you right now, Bob Nicholson flipped the script with Blair Mackesy when they brought in Brent Sutter. And it totally changed the dynamic. And they got to get back to that. They got to get back to it.
All right. Next question. Randy Workman, I wonder if Kuzmenko would help the Bruins. Sorry, I don't want that to be tampering. Yeah, I'm not sure about Kuzmenko, Randy. I don't know if that's exactly what they're looking for. I know they need scoring, but yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking if they're going to pull off something big, they need a center, big time.
That's what I think. They need a natural center iceman that can make the players around them better.
Yep. All right. Next question. Gabriel Lamb, is the media in Vancouver toxic?
No, I don't think so.
They're passionate hockey market. That's what it is.
We have Rick Dollywall on here a lot.
Yeah,
and that guy's good. Fair. He's smart. He's good, and he's fair.
Yeah,
he gets it. Hey, look, the players know if they don't produce in a certain market, like if you're in a Canadian market and you're not producing, you're going to get it.
Yeah,
it's the way it is. Game.
It's part of the contract.
Guys know it. You're going to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some guys that want to just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go play. And I won't say the markets, but there's certain markets you can just go to and it doesn't matter. Getting your paycheck every 2 weeks and nobody even knows who you are.
Yep. All right. Next question. Who stays for our Habs UFA players, and does trading Matheson an option for the big club? Mario McDonald asking it.
Yeah. I don't know about the UFA players. I don't know what their grand plan is. I wish I had an answer for you, Murray. I would not, if you were to ask me, I would not trade Michael this year. I want to see how I come out of the gates next year. And if for whatever reason we don't come out well, then I'd consider it. But I would not be in a rush to trade Michael.
All right. Next question. Ron LaRoque. Pierre, what do you think of McKenna's play on Team Canada? More seasoning for sure, but I didn't think he was dominant. Yeah, Pierre, before you go, I don't know if he got too much playing time to be dominant.
17-year-old kids don't dominate that tournament.
Yeah,
I've seen so many kids go there. Crosby didn't dominate as a 16-year-old, but he played as a 17-year-old on a line with Corey Perry and Patrice Bergeron. They didn't have anybody like Corey Perry and Patrice Bergeron on Team Canada this year. So, let's see what McKenna does next year. Here's what I would say to you, Ron, because I love the question. Let's just say San Jose didn't think Macklin Celebrini was ready to play, and they put Gavin McKenna on a line with Macklin Celebrini. How do you think Gavin would have looked in this tournament?
Woo. Very good. All right, next question. Postnet 130. World Junior Championships, the best team won. Habs, Dobies, does this style remind you of Price when handling a puck? Is he strong-looking stand-up style goalie? Is it fair to compare him to Ken Dryden? Only 2 games. Poston, I love your excitement, but I don't want to put any of those names on that kid yet. That's just not fair.
Me too. But I'll tell you who a big fan of his is because he's watching the show right now. William Scott Bowman. He watches Dobish, and he's a big fan. He thinks he's going to be very good. But I didn't hear him compare him to Dryden, and I didn't hear him compare him to Price. So I'll tell you if he does. But I never heard him compare to those 2 guys.
But he's looking good so far. All right, next question.
So far, so good.
Steve Lash, gents, as you said, fantastic road trip for the Canadiens. One thing I'm concerned with, good catch by you, Steve, is Slafkovsky's production. Only 4 goals in 36 games this season so far. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are he needs to move his feet more, a lot more. I don't know about Pierre.
Oh, that's why we're partners. I agree with you. You don't have to rehearse that with you. The other part, I haven't been to a Canadiens practice, so I want to be totally transparent on that. But I know one thing. Trevor Letowski works with the forwards. You know who my buddy, if I were Trevor Letowski, you know who my buddy would be?
Chris Nyland?
Slafkovsky. Every day. He'd be my buddy at the rink.
Help him. Yeah.
Come on, baby. You're my buddy. Let's go.
Yeah.
I had a buddy like that, too, for a long time. His name's Jaromir Jagr. And we didn't have to do nearly the remedial work with Jaromir as they got to do with Slav. But I'm just telling you, it makes a difference with those. Anybody under 20, Makes a difference when you give them that love, and it makes a difference when you put the extra work in with them. It makes a difference. And so and take it for what it's worth, I know Letowski's a really good coach, and I think he communicates really well with the players. He should be all in as being buddies with Slafkovsky.
Yeah, that's what he needs right now, a little mentorship. All right, next question. Jimbo Flatfoot question, was there a conflict with Bo Horvat before he left Vancouver? I have no idea, Jimbo. Wasn't close to the team.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but I didn't hear it was with the players. I heard it was with other people in the organization, so I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? All right, next question. Bert L. Does the media and passion of fans in Canadian markets hurt teams more when recruiting players, or is it a positive for recruiting free agents? Bert, I'll just say this quick before my partner answers, and I think he's going to agree with me. If a player doesn't want to play in a passionate hockey market and win there, I don't want him on my team.
I'm with Jimmy on that. There's another thing that hurts with the recruitment of players to Canada. It's called taxation. Taxation's a big issue.
Yep.
It's look, I pay taxes here too, so I know. And so it's just look it's part of the deal, and some guys are prepared to do that, and other guys aren't.
Yeah, for sure. All right, looks like that's all we got for questions here. Pierre, always a pleasure, my friend. I saw you on earlier with our friend Jeff Marek. Enjoyed it.
He's a good man. He's a hard worker. He cares passionately about growing the game. He really's got a good perspective on the amateur game, the pro game, and the women's game. He does. I really like that. I respect that part of it from him. So yeah, no, he's good. Jimmy, you've been working your tail off. I couldn't be more proud of you, kiddo. You're doing great. You're doing so well. I know.
I appreciate it. So is our producer Shane back in Montreal. I don't know how many shows, podcasts he does a day, or if he even sleeps, but God bless him.
Thanks. Is he working tonight? Is he working tonight? I got to work tonight with the Canadiens. With Tony Marinaro.
Thanks to you, the viewers and listeners over there. And also, too, some guest announcements. Tomorrow, we're going to be joined by the great John Walton, play-by-play radio man for the Washington Capitals. Talk about them because they are a contender. Don't kid yourself. This team is for real. And like Pierre's told you, too, they got a certain guy who was lighting up the World Juniors on his way there. It's in the spring in Ryan Leonard. So we're going to talk some Capitals with John. Then we're going to bounce around the NHL and some college hockey on Wednesday with Johnny Lazarus, former UMass player, who works over the Daily Faceoff, works under the same umbrella as our good friend Jeff Marek that we were just speaking of. So looking forward to having him on a show, and I'm working on a few other guests. When I have them confirmed, I will let you know. For Pierre, you want to say one more thing, Pierre?
I do. I just want to say, we're really grateful to people for the Four Nations. We're really, really grateful to people at McLean's and what they've been doing to make this a real successful event, not just for the eye test, but for the fans as well. I know how hard you've worked, Jimmy, along with the ownership and management at McLean's. And the folks at Johnny's down in Boston. We're just so humbled and grateful that you would even want to take us in, not just for the Four Nations, but also for the Bean Pot. And we know it's going to be the home of all those Huntington Hounds, the Huskies from Northeastern. Right. So we're pumped for that. We're pumped for that.
I was talking to Johnny today. He was telling me all about it, Pierre. I'll tell you off air. So we will look forward to that for sure. But until then, this has been the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.